Alright, hey everybody, it's Evan here from devascend.com, and in this video we're going to be covering how you can use multiple components inside of your Vue project. So technically we have this one Vue component here, which is our app.vue component, and technically speaking we could build our entire Vue project inside of this one component here. However, if you're building a full-fledged Vue project, you're going to probably have a lot of different elements on your DOM page. For example, you're going to have your header, you're going to have all of the content within inside your main body, and then you're going to have your footer, and then you might have maybe a sidebar, you might have some pop-ups or some modals, and you'll soon realize that your project's going to be very, very large. And because of that, if you were to do all of that code inside of this one file here, this file would be very large. And not only would your template have a ton of elements that you have to scroll through, but your script tag would be absolutely huge as well, because you'll have a ton of different data and methods that you'll need to create, and it'll just become very cluttered and very hard to read very fast. So it's best practice to put specific elements that you think might be reusable inside of their own component. So far we have one singular component, which is app.vue, and this is considered to be our root component, meaning that this is the component that's going to house all of our separate smaller components. So for example, in our root component here, we might have a header component, a sidebar component, and a footer component. So these are three subcomponents that we are importing into our app component. And of course, these components can also have subcomponents as well. So for the sidebar component, for example, you will probably have a navigation list or a list of tags. Now these you might want to group into different components, and you can basically think of this just as like a tree of components, and this is all done to help keep you organized, to help keep your code clean, and more importantly, to make sure that your code is very reusable and modular. Now, if you actually remember, we had the Hello World Vue component here, which had all that homepage text and stuff that we had initially before we removed the import. This is a subcomponent of our root component, which is our app, but we're going to go ahead and actually remove this component because we're going to just start fresh so that you can easily understand what is happening here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that file, and we're going to create a new component. And I'm just going to call this component card.vue. So for our card, we're going to need a template, of course. This is going to house all of our HTML elements. We're going to create a div here. I'm going to give this div a class name of card. And inside our card, we're going to just say this is a card. Now let's go ahead and add some styling to our card here. And inside our style, we're going to target the card class. We're going to say border 1 pixel solid dark gray. And we're going to say border radius, let's give it 25 pixel radius. Going to give it some padding of 12 pixels by 8 pixels. And now that we have this, we're going to go back to our app.vue, which is again our root component. And we're going to go to our script tag here, and we're going to import that card component that we just created. So to do that, we can do import card from, and then we're going to say, look in this directory, which is our source directory here. Go into our components folder, which is this folder right here. And we're going to access our card component. So remember, we imported this card component with the name of card. Okay, so this is very important. So we imported it with the name of card. Now we're going to need to add this card into our components inside our export default. So we're going to say components, and inside here, we're going to say card. Now we can actually use this card component inside of our template. And in order to do that, we're just going to type that name, which was card. We're going to self-close it. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And now if we go to our browser, we can see this is a card here, and we see the border that we have around it. So again, this right here is the template that we imported into our root component, which is our app. And all we had to do that was type out import card from components card.vue, and we just added it to our export default under the components property here, and we just added the name of the component that we imported. And just to show you how this is modular, so we have our card here. We can actually import that card as many times as we want. We can import it 3 times if we want. And if we go back to our browser, we can see now we can see it 3 times here. And this shows the usability of when you have a certain element that you need to reuse throughout your website. It's good to put it in a component because it's very easy to reuse it. So you don't have to type out this card div every time you want to use it. You can just use it here. And if you ever need to make a change, it's really simple. Just you can modify it however you want. So that is how you use multiple components inside of Vue. So that's going to do it for this video. In the next video, we're going to be covering global and scoped CSS. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.